All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a fighter whose name was just as powerful as his punches. I mean, this guy was more than just a champion. He was a force of nature, a national hero, a legend forged in fire. We're talking about the one and only Roberto Durán.
You know, this wasn't just some catchy nickname somebody came up with. No, this was a legend, something forged in the tough streets of Panama. It was basically a warning to anyone who even thought about stepping in the ring with him. Hands of stone. I mean, it just perfectly captures the raw, devastating power he had in both his fists.
So, to really get who the fighter was, you've got to understand the boy. I mean, this is a kid who was fighting for survival long before he ever stepped foot in a ring. His story? It doesn't start with some shiny championship belt. Nope, it starts in the really tough, poverty-stricken neighborhood of El Chorrillo.
I mean, from his earliest days, life was just a constant fight. He wasn't just shining shoes or selling newspapers, no. This kid was literally diving into the Panama Canal, scrambling for coins that tourists would throw in just to make it through the day. Every single coin was like this tiny victory in a daily war for survival. And all of that, it forged this hunger inside him that would define his entire career.
Okay, so what happens when you take that raw hunger, that street toughness, and unleash it on the world of boxing? Well, when Duran channeled all of that into the ring, he didn't just show up to compete. Oh no, he came to dominate.
So what was his style like? Well, it was kind of this amazing paradox, right? He had the technical skill of a true master, but he fought with this raw, just completely unbridled aggression of a street brawler. He wasn't just outboxing his opponents, he was hunting them. He'd get in close, he'd mentally just take them apart, and a lot of the time, he'd break their will before the first bell even rang.
7. What's so special about that number? Well, that's how many years he absolutely terrorized the lightweight division. This was right after he won his first title against Ken Buchanan back in '72. We're talking nearly a decade where he was the undisputed king, a dark-haired whirlwind that just seemed unstoppable.
And this is where things get really interesting. This perfectly sets up this incredible clash of worlds. See, he moves up in weight to face his greatest rival. So on one side, you've got Duran, the gritty, tough-as-nails hunter from the streets of Panama. And on the other, you've got Sugar Ray Leonard, America's polished, smiling golden boy. I mean, come on, it was a promoter's dream.
So here's the crucial part. In that first meeting, Duran fought the fight completely on his terms. He made it his fight. He dragged Leonard into this brutal, punishing, close-quarters war, and he just outwilled him. For those 15 rounds, there was no question. He was considered the best fighter on the entire planet.
But then, just a few months later, right at the absolute peak of his fame, the peak of his power, his legend took a turn that would define him for years. And this next chapter, it's probably one of the most debated, most misunderstood moments in the history of boxing.
So what happened in the rematch? Well, Leonard came in with a totally different game plan. He used his incredible speed, his movement, and he taunted Duran relentlessly. And Duran got frustrated, right? He couldn't land those big knockout blows. And so he did the unthinkable.
He turns to the referee in the 8th round and just says it. No mas. No more. Just 2 simple words, but they would echo through sports history. And honestly, they would haunt him for years. The shockwave was immediate. Everybody started asking questions. Was it the really bad stomach cramps he complained about after the fight? Was there some kind of dispute with his management going on behind the scenes? Or had Leonard's taunts just finally broken his unbreakable will? Whatever the real reason was, his reputation as this unstoppable force, it just seemed to crumble. His hero status was shattered, even back home in Panama.
So yeah, a lot of people thought his career was over, just done. They called him a quitter, a fighter who'd lost his fire. But they seriously, severely underestimated the pride of a true warrior, a man who had been fighting his entire life.
So what did he do? He spent the next 2 decades on this long, hard road to redemption. I mean, look at this timeline. It shows his incredible longevity. The guy fought across five separate decades. He just kept coming back, proving his greatness over and over again.
37. Now get this. That's how old he was when he stepped into the ring against the much younger, much bigger, and honestly terrifying middleweight champion, Iran Barkley. Literally no one gave him a chance. And what happened? In this brutal back-and-forth war, Duran won the title. It was an absolutely impossible victory, and of course it was named the Fight of the Year. He proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that he could still compete and win at the highest level, long after pretty much everyone had counted him out.
So as we start to wrap this up, what's the ultimate legacy of a man who saw the highest of highs and the lowest of lows? What do we really remember when we hear the name Roberto Durán?
Well, he became so much more than a boxer. He basically embodied the spirit of his entire nation. He was Panama. His struggles, his incredible triumphs, and his absolute refusal to stay down, all of that became a symbol for Panamanian resilience.
You know, this quote just perfectly captures the heart of his incredible story. That no moss moment, that doesn't define him. Not at all. What defines him is everything that came after it. It's the long climb back, the refusal to quit on his life, and that unbelievable championship he won when he was 37 years old.
So it really leaves you with a question to think about. Is a legacy defined by a single failure, or is it defined by a lifetime of fighting back? Roberto Duran's life, well, it gives us one of the most powerful answers to that question you will ever find in the history of sports.